which is about engaging with people. It's about explaining the regulations because...
Good morning. Welcome to my Facebook Live this morning. My name's Jenny McCormack. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator from Gemini Crafts, based in the market town of Brackley in the centre of the UK. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are featuring this stamp set, Blossoms in Bloom, which is a large photopolymer stamp set. And you can see how large it is. I've just mounted it on the Stamparatus plate for the moment. It's a really pretty set. It does a lot of work for you. It gives an almost watercolour effect because it's got this shading in the actual stamp itself. As well as the main stamp, we have extra flowers, we have some leaves, we have some dots for the centres of the flowers, and then some extra little flowers and centres here. A nice set of sentiments to go with it as well. Morning, Babsy. So we have happy birthday, thinking of you, sure do miss you, hello, thank you, I like you a lot, and get well soon. So for our first card of this week, we're just going to do some straightforward stamping. This is the main stamp, as you can see here, and I'm going to ink it up with a light colour and then use a sponge dauber to add ink around the centre. You could also add ink around the edges as well, so I might try and do that for the card this morning. This is a standard A6 card, but what I'm going to do when I stamp the flower is I'm just going to use the same size of card, but then I can chop it down because this image is actually larger than the card itself. So what I want to do is stamp it and then decide which bit of that I'm actually going to cut out, rather than predetermine which bit I'm going to have. When we stamp it, we'll only have the flowers, and then I'll be adding on the leaves and the sentiment. You can find this stamp set in the main catalogue. Hi Rebecca, and hi Lynn. So it is in our annual catalogue, and you can find it on pages 50 and 51. If I just bring this one here, I hope you can see this okay. So here is one where it's been stamped. Then we have one here with the matching dies, and it's a beautiful die set, so I'll be using that from tomorrow onwards. And there's two sets of dies. One does this outside image and one does this very fine image. So there's some samples there. There's some more samples here and here and here. So it was new in the annual catalogue this year, 2020. So let us get cracking. I've had to draw the blinds down because it's so sunny, so I hope it's still light enough for you. So because it's a big stamp, I'm going to take this away actually because I don't need that. Because it's such a big stamp, rather than have it on a large block, which I find very difficult to handle, I'm going to pop it on my Stamparatus. So this is our stamp positioning tool that allows us to use, especially big stamps, but to use multiple stamps on one image here. So I'm going to pop my piece of card down, and I have just worked out roughly where I want this card to go, just by putting a little bit of washi tape in here. I'm going to put the magnets on, but I'm not quite sure where they need to be. Well, that was a stroke of luck. Couldn't have done that if I tried. Okay, so I want to keep the magnets out of the way of the stamp. Okay, now it is slightly stained already because I've had pinks and things on it, but that, to me, that doesn't matter because you can see exactly where the stamp is actually going to go. It's pure staining on the stamp, it doesn't get transferred anywhere. Hi Carol, hi Tracy. So what I'm going to do is, I've done this one in purple, so this is Highland Heather and Gorgeous Grape. But what I've decided to do is one in blues. So I've chosen Misty Moonlight and Seaside Spray. So I'm going to do the main image in Seaside Spray. I'm going to add Misty Moonlight with a sponge dauber. So if you haven't got a dauber, you could use a sponge, or you could use a marker pen in the same way. So, just going to bring this over. So I hope you can see that. I might put the piece of card underneath so you can see, like so. Is that in your line of sight? I haven't got my other screen on this morning, so I'll keep having to hop over and have a look. So I'm going to move that up a little bit. Hopefully that's in a good position. So I'm going to start with the Seaside Spray. And one thing I would say with this kind of stamp, especially photopolymer, is you don't want a very inky ink pad. So if you've got a brand new ink pad, what you want to do is move your ink away from the center part, which is where I'm going to use the main ink. Okay, just move it to the edge, because if it's too wet, then it doesn't soak onto the top of the stamp, and it'll bubble up. If you notice ever on a photopolymer stamp your ink bubbling, that means there's too much ink for the surface. So just move some of the ink to one side with a bone folder or the edge of a block. And then what I'm going to do is ink this up. Like so. You can see hopefully a bit of the blue on there. And then I'm going to take my dauber and my Misty Moonlight. So this is a darker blue. You could use Night of Navy, for example. I'm going to dip that in, like so, straight into the ink, and then add a little bit of detail on each of those flowers. So I'm putting some in the centre. So I hope you can see that. Oh, perfect, Carol. That's Carol with an E. Thank you. Well done. Shopping done. Coffee in hand. That's what I like to hear. Okay, so I'm just daubing the centres. You could also daub some of the edges. Now you can play around with the colours for this. I'll show you one I did because I wanted it to look like pansies. There we go. Hopefully that will do the job. Let me wipe my fingers because I just put it in the ink pad. And dry that off. Okay. So I'm just going to pop that onto there. Now I can see a little bit of bubbling, but I think we'll be okay. So this is photopolymer stamp, so you need just a good contact with the card. I have got the foam mat underneath my Stamparatus to give it a bit of extra give, for want of a better description. Like so. If I lift that up. Okay, so I missed a little bit down here at the bottom, so I'm just going to pop that back and push it down. So that's the benefit of the Stamparatus. if you miss anything, you can just put it back down. And there's a little bit here, I think, as well. So there's two reasons for that. Either I haven't pushed hard enough, or I haven't put enough ink on, one or the other. There we go. So I really like that effect. It's almost a watercolour effect that's done for you. Let me wipe this, like so. Okay, so remember this is actually larger than my base card, because what I'm going to do is add the leaves and then decide which bit I'm going to cut out. So I hope everybody had a nice weekend. The weather was glorious, that's for sure. Hi Kate. Hi Jill. I know it's a lovely day, isn't it? There we go. So what I'm going to do now is add my leaves and my centres. So I've got pear pizzazz. I could also add some extra flowers if I wanted, but I do know that this is pretty full on the card itself. Okay, and I'm going for a simple stamped coffee and card design today. So this would be, prior to lockdown, the sort of card that we would make at Coffee and Card. So I've got some leaves here. I just want to stamp that on a scrap actually, just to see, because that's, can you see the bubbling on there? So what I'm going to do, because this is quite a juicy ink pad, is I'm just going to move some of the ink away. Wipe that down. So I'm inking up now on that right hand side. So can you see the difference? So if ever you're looking at a stamp and you're thinking that's coming out really blotchy, and this really does only apply to the photopolymer because it's obviously a different surface to the rubber. The rubber makes good contact with ink. So obviously if you like it like that, then that's perfect. But I like it a little bit more subtle than that. So I'm just popping these leaves in as and where I feel they could go. So not really any plan in mind, and I'm not even masking it off, I'm just adding them in around the edges. So that works quite nicely. I think I'm going to add another one in there. So we've got some double leaves. There is a larger leaf as well, this one here, so I could use that, and there is a smaller one, so I could have used a combination, but we're going for, I'm just going to stamp that one off to get a lighter one here. Just going a lighter version. Now if you do like making One Sheet Wonder cards using a stamp One Sheet Wonder like Ruth from Artful Stamping, then this is a great starting point, because you have, you know, a huge area covered in, ready to go. I'm thinking I need that one to be double as well, just very lightly. Okay, so those are my leaves around the edges. I hope you can see that okay. Looks like you can. I can't see any comments otherwise. Now I've got some dots for the centres, and I got So Saffron out, but I'm just wondering whether to change the colour. So I could make it the dark blue. Let's have a look and see. No, that's okay, I think that will work. And you can fit one in exactly like that. They're all different, slightly different shapes, so just rotate your stamp around to fill the best of the gap. It's such a pretty set, and this would be a really good set for making multiple cards. Great for, dare I say, wedding invitations. But thank you, Cards for Christmas. And I think you could get away with making this in Christmas colours as well. If you used like a light pink and a red, you know, sort of cherry cobbler and almost petal pink or something, would make really nice Christmas card design. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut that down and then add my sentiment. And my sentiment I'm going to stamp straight on if I find a suitable gap. On this one here, I'd cut it this way round. Obviously I've stamped this the other way round, so I haven't got as much space at the bottom. So I could stamp it here. If that doesn't work, then I could put a sentiment across the centre. Okay, my layering for this card is matching the same colours. So I've got Misty Moonlight and Seaside Spray, and my feeling was to go like so. Okay, so let me get my trimmer out and let's have a look. There we go. So I'm going to cut this down. So this one is 10 by 14.35. So this really needs to be 9.5. So I'm going to take a little bit off each side. So this one's already partly cut off. So let's see if I cut all of that. So I might just cut a little and then decide which side I want to take the other bit from. Because I want it to end up as 9.5 approximately. Did I cut it from? I did cut it from that side, didn't I? So this has got quite a bit of white space here. There we go. And then I think what I'm going to try and do is put my sentiment across the bottom. So this would be 13.85, and I think that will work perfectly. So I'm just taking a little bit off the top. So I've got an upside down version, basically. If you turn that around, you can see that. Looks quite different, doesn't it? It really does. Okay. It's such a pretty set, it really is. And when I have used this for Full Coffee and Card here before, but I'm going to use the dies with it later this week, and they really change the whole perspective of this set. But I really like it as it is. I really do like that soft watercolour, just brush look. So let's have a look at the sentiments. So I did a get well soon. Sadly, I've mislaid my thank you. So I think I'm going to do happy birthday, because that will fit in there nicely. And we've always got birthday cards that we need to do. So that's going to fit in there. I could change that obviously and use a different sentiment, but I'm keeping it all to this set for today. Just popping that at an angle because I haven't got the bigger block just to hand. So I'm going to wipe it down. It's got ink on it. Okay, and I'm going to do that in Misty Moonlight. Hello, Molly. Who's it for? I don't know. Who's got a birthday coming up? If you've got a birthday in September, I'll send this one to you. I should say if you've got a birthday that you haven't had yet in September. There we go. There's my happy birthday. Now, there are some little stamps here, so I could add those in. I think I might do that. There's two dinky little ones, and I might just do them in the yellow, or probably do them in the Seaside Spray, maybe. Put them in there. Or shall I do them in the blue? Misty Moonlight. Let's have a look. Look at the colours. So it's always worth having a scrap of paper to hand. Yeah, so I'm going to just stamp it off like that. So it's useful to stamp it on the grid paper, but you won't get an exact colour because the grid paper is a much thinner, you know, like a scratch paper. So there we go. How many have I got? 5. Perfect. And I think I might put some little gems on those. Layer that up and we're done. So this is one I tried earlier. So this, I was trying to make it look like a pansy, but I think I need to reverse this. I think I need the purple on the outside and the yellow for the inside, because it's just a little bit out of balance, but it does look quite pretty even so. So the best thing with a stamp set like this is definitely to practice. Try different combinations. There we go. Perfect. Now if I was keeping this in with a stamp set, then I would make a note on what colour this was. Okay, so this is Pear Pizzazz, Misty Moonlight stamped, and So Saffron. So when I come back, you know, 6 months time to use it again, I'll know what colours I was using. So let's get that inked up, layered up even. So just using my seal, like so. So if you join me tomorrow afternoon, which will be 3 PM, I will be posting at 3, but I won't actually be live at 3 due to some other family commitments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record that one, probably straight after here when I've had a cup of coffee. And then it will be posted as if I was live tomorrow afternoon. So if you're commenting tomorrow while you're watching it, just bear in mind that I'm not actually there. But I will be back. All being well, I'll be back live on Wednesday. So I'm going to pop some flowers on the inside. Actually, I'm going to do a white layer with some of these little flowers on. So let me just cut this down. So this is just our Whisper White. (13.85 by 9.5 centimetres. Let's bring my mat back, and let's just pop a couple of those separate flowers on. Why not? And I should really do that on the envelope as well. So I'll grab an envelope. There we go. While I'm here, so here's my Whisper White envelope. I really do like the Stampin' Up! Envelopes. They give such a different effect compared to everyday stationery envelopes that you would get in a office supplies or something. Right, here we go. So Seaside Spray. And I'm just going to turn this over and have a practice on here. So I want to see what it's looking like. Okay. So I can use the little centre. Let me just see if I can stamp this and all it, whether it's makes enough of a difference. Yes, it does. So if you are doing that, then what you need to make sure you do in between each stamp is to wipe it off, because obviously you've now got a darker image, a darker amount of ink on here. If you put it back into the Seaside, you're going to contaminate that a little bit, not a great deal, but a little bit. So one of those. Ooh. One of those, like so. Wipe it off. There we go. Like so. And I'm going to find it's a little leaf, and this, I might just use the spot for the centre, I don't know, but here's the little leaf. Gosh, I can feel it warming up just in my craft room here, even with the blinds closed and the windows open. It's going to be a glorious day. So I'm inking it up in the Pear Pizzazz. Stamping off, and I can find my scrap up here, just to do a lighter one. There we go. I'll do the middles in a second, and then I'm just going to do the envelope. Just going to turn this over in case I've got ink on the back. I don't want to transfer that to the envelope particularly. So, Seaside Spray, Misty Moonlight. Check I've got this the right way round. One. Seaside Spray. Misty Moonlight. Two. So. Lift that up to the top, just add some leaves. Voila. go. Now for the middle, we have a tiny little stamp here. So I think I'm just going to do that in the matching So Saffron, so it's the same as these here. Oh yes, I think there's for most of the UK it's forecast to be extremely hot, apart from up in Scotland, I gather. There's those. There we go. So these don't quite fit that centre, so I'm just stamping it twice. Just to fill that in. There we go. Let me put these away before I do any damage, and I'll have a look and see for some gems. Not that I don't really think it needs it. Okay, so there's my envelope. This is going to be my inside. So if you have been working on a mat or anything, just make sure you're removing it before you're playing with your finished card on your surface, because it's quite easy to put it down on some damp ink. Okay. There we have it, our birthday card. This is my Get Well Soon card. Let me just have a look for a little bit of bling. See what we've got. So we definitely have Misty Moonlight gems from the In Colours here. Would look nice on there. And oh, I've also got those blue ones. And let me just see if I've got any purple ones left. Sorry, this is a bit of a state, isn't it? No, but I could colour some of those. Okay, so for this one here I'm going to use our In Colour enamel dots. One, two, three, like so. And then for this one I'm going to colour some in Gorgeous Grape with my blends pen. Thank you, Babsy. Thank you, Lynn. So this is Dark Highland Heather, so the first one I see. So let's see if this is dark enough. Not really. I'll try the other side. No, well, yes, it might do. You can just see it, hopefully. being purples. There we go. So that's just using our standard rhinestone jewels, colouring them with our blends pen. One in there, one here. There isn't any rhyme or reason where these are going, by the way. There, like so. Okay, so that is it for today's coffee and card. I'm trying to reduce my coffee and card sessions down because I realised they were getting quite long. So here is the one that we've done today. Here's the envelope and the inside, and obviously you could put a birthday sentiment inside or just write a lovely long message to somebody who is celebrating their birthday. So thank you so much for joining me today. There is a link for this stamp set on the post here. The stamp set itself is £20. If you want any further information, just message me or comment on this video, and I look forward to sharing another project with you tomorrow using Blossoms in Bloom. And I will be back live on Wednesday at 10 AM, but you will catch my normal live tomorrow at 3 PM, but it will be pre-recorded. Such is the wonder of technology. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy that lovely sunshine if you can, and you want to. And in the meantime, stay safe. Take care and look after yourselves, look after each other, and keep crafting. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.